It's disgusting. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Like, he's a horrible, sleazy, oily little man. I mean, having like publicly owned posh people as your head of state is an odd choice. But to have this man, just because who his mother was, feel like he's above the law and above sort of like treating people as human beings, and then, being given like a cloak and a golden wand for state occasions feels like repulsive.
Hello, we should talk about Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew. This week there were more court documents released. As the Times reported, Prince Andrew has been reported to the police over the alleged sexual abuse of a 17-year-old girl in London after her claims were repeated in newly released court papers linking him to Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted paedophile. These are not, of course, new allegations. They involve Virginia Giuffre again, but it's new evidence about them. There are also a bunch of other people named in these documents, former presidents and so on. Gráinne, it always seems to me that this story is about something bigger than just Prince Andrew. Let's not upgrade him than Prince Andrew. But let's start with him. What's your reaction to all this?
It feels a little bit like a flop. I think
Right.
This list has been a flop. We were all over Christmas. Everybody on Twitter was like, "Oh, the list is coming out. Oh my god!" And it just was everybody that we all kind of already knew. But it feels a little bit like, especially how it's been covered in the newspapers, that it's really solidified the sort of collective repulsion towards Prince Andrew, and the fact that there's been a soft creep to sort of inviting him back into the royal family, and it feels like that will not happen anymore.
Do you think it should?
No, it's disgusting. I'm sorry. Like, he's a horrible, sleazy, oily little man. I mean, having like publicly owned posh people as your head of state is an odd choice. But to have this man, just because who his mother was, feel like he's above the law and above sort of like treating people as human beings, and then, being given like a cloak and a golden wand for state occasions feels like repulsive. So it would be nice not to have to see his little face.
Zoe, it strikes me the Epstein story. It's a very difficult one for sort of journalism to navigate because it's well sourced. It's like, these allegations are there. They are repeated in court. It's all there. Epstein himself was a convicted paedophile, and he had lots of famous and powerful friends who did indeed go to his crazy island. And yet it sort of superficially resembles quite a lot of conspiracy theories, and it encourages quite a lot of conspiracy theories. And it's quite hard to know exactly how to tackle it, right?
Yeah, I think that's very well put. I have to say, emotionally, I've struggled to engage with the scandal from start to finish. And I can't quite tell why that is. It's not that I don't find child abuse, sexual abuse, or any kind of abuse of absolutely beyond the pale and disgusting. But I wonder if it's because it reminds me of a kind of parallel obsession with anything that might be to do with sexual bad behavior and rich people, and then add to that the awkwardness of Epstein being Jewish, and it's just the whole. I think the sort of levels of revulsion and feeling that we've seen in relation to this case, I've observed with some degree of interest, only because slightly similar things have happened or been much worse that have involved murder, which I do say is much worse. It doesn't seem to grasp people in the same way, and we do live in such a conspiratorial age. So it is really hard to know what's kind of like genuinely of interest and up to the public interest, and what's kind of we've now gone into some sort of obsessional overdrive about something.
But it speaks to this idea of an age of impunity, right? When sort of powerful people could get away with stuff that we assume, or at least we hope, that they can't get away with anymore.
Yeah, although I tend to think that, like with Andrew, I mean, I agree with Gráinne that I'm hardly going to go to bat for Andrew, least of all, especially after what we think he's been up to. But he is. No, he is part of the family. He is part of the firm. There are reasons that he's there. That yes, his mother, but should we expect the family to kind of completely cast him out when he is their family? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be such an important. I'm okay with him creeping back in, actually.